You're now listening to Unfiltered with Mia, where filters fade and real connection begin. Each week, I sit down with inspiring guests, all share solo reflection for raw and honest conversation about growth, challenges, and the wins that shape us. Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Unfiltered with Mia. Still feels strange, but yeah, now it's Unfiltered with Mia for unfiltered conversation. And today we've got Brian with us. Hello.
Hello, Lamia. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while.
It's been a while. The last time I was here was a year and a half ago.
Yeah, you came at the very beginning of the podcast.
Would have been March or April 2024.
Yeah, it was. I don't really remember the timeline, but I know that obviously Liam was with us last time.
Yeah, so it must have been before May because he left in May 2024.
Yeah. Wow, crazy how time flies.
And
I just had a moment right now. It's just like, ooh.
how many episodes? Like, what episode is this? Because it would have been a lot since then.
I don't remember, to be honest. I need to look back. But yeah, now we're on episode 71.
Ooh.
So we're growing slowly but surely. But obviously, last time we had Liam with us, we were talking a lot about the playbook run club, and it's crazy even just thinking about the growth of the run club. We've talked about that many times, but I want to keep that on the side for a little bit. We'll tackle that afterwards. But your life has changed a lot since the last time you were on the podcast.
Yes and no.
I mean, you were previously an agent, then decided to change. You became a leasing manager.
Yeah.
And promoted to a leasing director.
Yeah.
But then on the side, you were also competing. So you started with marathons, then triathlon, then a half Ironman. So a lot been going on lately, right?
Yeah, 2025 actually has been quite crazy.
So my question, and I asked you about that actually, because I was just intrigued, like if you were to kind of talk me through actually before your mindset at that moment when you decided, you know what, I want to do more than being an agent. What were you thinking at that time? What was your goal and purpose at that time?
I don't think it was really something to do with a goal or a purpose. I think it was just listening to a voice that crept up and listening to a kind of reoccurring theme of me not being happy in the position that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that moment when we were on the podcast for the first time would have been around the time when I started having kind of ideas that potentially I was going in the wrong direction. And when I first started thinking about what do I actually want to do, because up until that point, me and Liam have talked about this in the past before. It's like all of the drive and the motivation and the fuel was from a place of propulsion. It was from a place of just running away from the life that I didn't want.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would have the luxury to dictate or decide what I wanted to do in my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, growing up in a family that was always financially struggling, I just thought that success was for people, a select few. Like you had to have study decks or be born in Y, or that all of those things would lead to you being successful or not. And I think when I finally started becoming somewhat financially stable, that was almost taken care of. And then I took a moment and kind of looked up and I was like, hold on, I don't even like where I'm going. I don't even know the destination that I'm driving towards. I don't even know if I want to go there.
Yeah, I hear
Being a broker, and it is for some people and it isn't for other people. And you know, people can conflate what they're good at and that being their purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully I was good at it. But there was a certain amount of lack of depth for me. And then I started kind of getting clear with, okay, well, where do I want to go? Where would be a better place for me to go? Not better, but like more in line with who I am intrinsically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of started leaning towards, okay, potentially management, potentially, you know, helping other people become successful,
Mm-hmm.
helping other people, you know, find out and understand what it takes to be successful in the real estate industry here. And when I looked around within real estate, a lot of the people didn't really seem like me. They might have looked like me, but I didn't really connect with them. So
Yeah.
I started to decide that I was going to pivot and move in a direction that was more in line with me. And there still really is no end goal, but it's trying to get closer to the most authentic version of myself. And I think I'm on that path, pulling the thread. And you can't have one without the other. It's important to have these jobs in which maybe don't align with you,
Yeah.
maybe aren't for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I, you've told me before that you see a big difference in terms of Brian the broker and Brian the manager.
100%.
So I think that's where the kind of motivation for me to decide to look towards a different opportunity and get in touch more with, go into a leadership role, and see what that takes. Like, I mean, I've always told myself I want to learn how to sell, how to lead, and how to build. So I've learned how to sell, I'm learning how to lead, and then the next after that will potentially be to build. But I think that's the kind of the
And I
reason.
love that because I really love that about you because you're very self aware. Not a lot of people are aware, So I've seen people being the same kind of, that rabbit loop,
Hamster wheel.
hamster wheel, that thing where it just keep because you know how to do it and you just keep going. I was a victim of that myself, that, and I was just like, yeah, just keep going. It'll make sense some point, but then when you realize I'm just going on the same freaking wheel and it's just turning and turning and turning, and there's literally no like reaching a point, where you're like, oh, okay, I like that. Um, how did you or how do you deal with being like so much self-aware? Because obviously you're young. You're 25, and I always told you I admire that so much about you because it's rare to see young people, let alone older people, being so much self-aware. Like I sometimes struggle, and I come to you and I'm like, Brian, I need a bit of wisdom from you. So how did you become so much like? What's your not just how did you become, but how is it? How do you break it down? How do you realize, oh, I need a shift now?
I think change is always scary. I think being within your comfort zone, it's comfortable and it's nice and it's clear. And in terms of making a change and how I'm comfortable with that, I think that would have been a controversial decision for a lot of people, and it didn't really make sense for a lot of people. Why are you going into management?
Mm.
Why are you taking a pay decrease? Like, and because the majority of people in this weird industry end up being managers when they're not. It's not really working as a broker, which
Yeah.
is just a ridiculous concept to begin with. But I think for me, in terms of making change, it's confident in my abilities to be able to take on something and be able to make change, because people tend to be not willing to change from a fear of, well, if I leave this, will I be able to make it? Will I be able to
Mm.
be successful in something else? And for me, I've always had a belief that I'm destined for more in life and beyond just being a typical real estate broker, which there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, being young and feeling like that I've learned all that I need to learn as a broker, yes, I could have made more money, but I wasn't learning. So I felt stagnant. And at moments and points in which I feel stagnant and potentially complacent, that's when I know I need to change. And I think a lot of it is rooted in self-belief
Mm.
and knowing that you don't have to be in a scarcity mindset of, this is the only opportunity for me. I've been blessed by God and by the universe with this opportunity that finally I'm being recognized for something good. And that doesn't mean that you are a real estate broker. It's like, again, people conflate being good at something and their calling in life.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, I'm good at this thing, so that must be what I'm destined to be, rather than, if I can learn the fundamentals and the rules of the game in order to be a successful real estate broker, chances are if you put me into any other different role after a certain period of time, I'll be able to understand the rules and also be able to perform well in there. So I think a lot of it has to do with that self-belief, and I can completely understand if people are afraid to take that leap, because what evidence do they have that they might be good at something else?
True.
And that's what somebody asked me in my interview to be a leasing manager.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, why do you think you would be a good leasing manager? And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be a good leasing manager. What proof do I have that I would be a good leasing manager?
True.
I do believe that I'm the kind of person that will do whatever it takes in order to be successful within a role. So 100% I back myself. 100% I back myself that I will do whatever it takes. But can I say that I'm going to be a good leasing manager? What proof do I have? Well, I'll give it my all.
That's what I like. And I think also to add on that thought, I think a lot of people are scared of that fear of failure. I think that's the biggest thing. I was myself before I joined our now company. I had a big fear. I've been in our previous company for 4 years, and I was just like, nah, and it changed, and it changed. Then when you reached out to me and you're like, listen, this is an opportunity and all of that, there was a lot of resistance. There was a lot of fear. The self doubt just creeped in like never before. And it's funny because it's hard to explain it until you live it, because it's a mixed feeling of everything. Something that, for example, I've been doing this job for a long time now, but thinking about doing it in another environment, I started to doubt everything. Was I good into it? Will I be able to? Because I had like a sense of like people expect something from me. So I was like, will I be able to deliver that? And there was a lot of fear that tagged along that. But then coming to what you said, you have to take that bit of a nudge and that push and be like, do you know what? I'm just going to jump, because I won't know how I feel until I actually take that leap of faith, you know?
Is that how you dealt with it? Is that how you got past the...
I generally think yes, because I went into the fact that, listen, a lot of people that was around me, my close people, know how much I was very, very doubting myself and the job itself, because I didn't know if I was at a point of life where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing the same thing. I don't know if real estate is it. I don't know if I'll be good enough to be able to bring this concept. Will people understand? Will people trust me? Because obviously what we do is based on a lot of trust as well. And earning trust is not easy, mainly in real estate, you know? So I was like, how am I going to make this happen? And I dealt with it in a sense that I was like, okay, everything is going to be fine either way. If you go, give it all that you got. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, you'll figure out something else, because there's always a something else, you know? And just dealing with that fear, it was like, I'm freaking scared. I am really, really scared. That first day, you have no idea. I felt like it was such a vivid memory, because I felt like, you know, that I remember when I was a kid, when I went to secondary school, I had that period where I was having lunch at the reception or in the toilets because I was so scared. And that creeping feeling just came like on my face that first day. And I was like, nah. I even doubted the first week. I was like, maybe I should quit. But then it's like telling myself, listen, quitting is easy. But what if you keep pushing? What if you keep going and keep doing what you know? That's when I think I'm still here. I'm still doing it. I'm still showing up every single day.
How do you feel in terms of like your journey now, in terms of like, obviously you're thinking about, you know, is real estate for me? Like, how does that land with you now?
Um, I am a bit more in a safer position. I feel like now I feel comfortable enough in the company. I feel like I'm building that trust. It's not fully here yet, but I'm building that trust with certain brokers, with certain people. It's starting to feel more like home now. Um, it's now easier to deal with certain contradictory, certain, you know, obstacle that comes your way. Um, do I feel like real estate is the right path? I don't know. Don't think so, to be honest. But I
Maybe
will.
not. Maybe not right and wrong, but like it's not the wrong path, it's not the right path, but it's the path in order for you to get to where you need to be.
Correct.
But if you
Exactly.
ask me, Brian, do you think Mia, sorry, I always call Mia Lamia, and I
You
need
can
to
call me how you want.
um if you would be in real estate as a conveyancer in 10 years time, I would say no. And if you would be in real estate in 10 years time, I'd be like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I hear it. I hear it completely. I think, again, I'm not saying that I still believe this is in me. I see a future growing through it, but there's other things that I want to do. But right now, this is helping me building that dream, if you get what I mean. And whilst doing that, I'm learning a lot about myself. It's funny because this job is actually teaching me how much resilience I have and how much I have in me, because you don't know until you are there and actually doing the job. But now I wonder about you. How was your first day?
So intimidating. It's so intimidating, like you said as well. It was like, yeah, feeling like the new kid and feeling like that I was thrown in at the deep end. And to paint a picture, if anybody knows real estate, it's brokers have massive egos, and brokers can have a lot of trust issues because they've seen managers come in before and like, this is, these are some amazing ideas that we have in order to change XYZ, and then they're not consistent, and then after 6 months they're fired. So like, obviously people see a lot of people with amazing ideas coming in, and you're just another manager at the end of the day. But within the company, brokers essentially, I was brought in as a leasing manager into a company where brokers could do both leasing
Hmm.
and sales. So even that was a bit of an issue, because it was like, well, what team were you going to give Brian? Because all of these brokers can do everything.
Yeah.
So then 10 brokers were handpicked that were almost defined as needing more support and not performing enough and probably doing more rentals than sales. So they were like just handpicked in a meeting. Just like, and you. You've got a new manager and you're in a new team, and he's about
Wow.
to join in 30 minutes.
Wow.
So to
Okay.
say I was public enemy number one is an understatement. So for the first week, it was about winning people over. The first week was about getting people on my side. The worst thing I could have done was gone in there and been a bit of a disciplinarian.
Mm.
It's not my style, anyways. But that would have rubbed people up the wrong way. So after my first week, I was absolutely wrecked and I was absolutely floored. I'd never really doubted it though, because like that feeling of stepping into something new for the first time, or being on the border between order and chaos, and being on the edge of your comfort zone, that's the feeling in which that you know that there's growth.
Mm.
There is no growth without pain. It's like, if you're in the gym and you're lifting light weight, you're never really going to build any muscle.
Correct.
Same goes for your mental and emotional and intellectual muscles, so to speak. It's by putting them under strain, not too much strain that they'll burn out, or that you'll get an injury, whatever that might look like, but enough in order to test you, enough in order to find out what you're capable of, and grow. And in that first week was reminding myself, I decided this is a path that I chose. It's up to me, taking complete ownership, not blaming the external environment,
Mm.
and taking the control and understanding there are elements within my control and elements outside of my control, and just trying to work with people to help them understand why I'm here, and that I'm here for them. And sitting people down on the first day and be like, that's really unfair what you've been through.
Mm.
That's If I was you, I'd be frustrated. If I was you, I'd be annoyed. And that bit of relatability and understanding is going to be different than me telling people to come in, sit down, shut up. This is the changes, and you have to like it or lump it.
Mhm.
So that was so important, and that was a learning curve. And yeah, the whole thing has been a learning curve, but that first week was so intimidating.
I can imagine. But again, I like the way that you approach this, Because sometimes I think a lot of people tend to forget, whether that's in your job, whether that's everything that you do, your relationship, you forget about the human side. We're all humans at the end of the day. And yes, sometimes there's certain position where you have to toughen up a little bit, but at the end of the day, we all have that soul, we all, and if you show a little bit of soul, kindness, and vulnerability, I am 100% sure people will relate to you if they will understand where you're coming from. And it's beautiful because then that I'm going to change a little bit, switch a little bit, because that shows a lot. Because obviously you kept showing up every single day and you've been consistent so far. Hence why you've been promoted from leasing manager to leasing director. I like to call you Mr. Director. But in the meantime, obviously on your, how do I say that? Personal life, you were also decided to go into from running marathons to running triathlons to, okay, let's do a freaking Ironman, half Ironman. How again do you cope with dealing on the fact that, because obviously you were still new in the company, you're still brand new, building your team, making this happen, but then you also have to show up for yourself because you want to achieve that. How do you manage that?
Um, with a lot of structure, with a lot of sacrifice, and with a lot of dedication. And, yes, things have gone to the wayside in terms of relationship and personal and friendship, or romantic relationship that was almost kind of burnt because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of in terms of priorities and like what's most important. And after a certain period of time, you can habituate any structure, you can habituate any routine, as long as you stick with it long enough and there's not a lot of friction there, and your goal is meaningful enough for you, and you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it for your own reasons. So for me, I don't see it as being a big thing, but it's been built into a place that I can actually have a structure like I do now. The Brian in the first week within real estate in the city wouldn't be able to take on the structure or the routine that I have now. But it's all about stacking small, slowly incremental gains daily. And that can be hard for some people because it can be wanting to jump straight into, the weekly routine or the morning routine that they see on Instagram, or, waking up at 5 a.m. 5 days in a row. And then, obviously it burning out because it's not sustainable. So it's about kind of stacking and starting small. So, almost, it would have been 2 years ago, literally 2 years ago, is when I started looking more into the performance aspect instead of running. And that would have been with my brother and my friend who's got the coaching business. So it was just essentially just I was their lab rat and I was their guinea pig. And I decided to work with them and see what would happen. And it was just purely, okay, we're going to train towards a 10K.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to train towards a half marathon. And then we're going to train towards a full marathon. And that was this in the space of my first 9 months with them. And then kind of took a bit of a break. And then it was, okay, what's this triathlon thing? Let me look into that a bit more. And yeah, we're blessed with obviously the city that we live in which they're able to, uh, have access to such training. But yeah, it was starting small. It's easy to see the end result without seeing the building blocks in order to get there. And it has just been a result of building slowly but surely and getting better every day.
You know why I'm bringing up this as well is because what I really admire again is that you, once you know what works for you, that's it. You're sticking to it and you keep showing up every single day. And that's kind of the message that I want to put out there, is that you shouldn't complicate it. You should do what makes sense for you. And if you do it repeatedly, consistently, you will achieve your goals. It doesn't change doesn't happen overnight. Consistency doesn't, is a matter of showing up every single day, when even on the days where you're just like, you know what, I can't be asked. But you just remember that goal. Like, even for instance, you couldn't swim how you swim in today, and you still managed to smash that half Ironman. And again, nothing is impossible if you put your mind into it, you know? And I want to know your take about that because obviously you were, I like to call it a creature of habits. And if this habits works, you stick to it. But certain people would be, oh, but then I can't be consistent like that. Well, I'm going to be missing out on life. I want to enjoy life a little bit, you know? Did you ever feel like you were missing out on life or?
Definitely to an extent. Like I think, anything to the extreme is obviously a negative. Being far too, relaxed and open with a schedule or routine is going to be to the extreme. Something that's not net positive, and then same goes for being hyper strict and
Mm,
far too regimented to the extreme is not going to be a net positive. So I think I definitely do come closer to the almost too extreme when it comes to structure and routine. But I just know how much consistency is so important for me, and leading by example in terms of how I show up for myself and consistently any sort of without any sort of connection between how I'm feeling and how motivated I am and me being able to do the work.
mm,
Especially when the program is going to be prescripted for me by my brother and by my other friend. It's like I think I understood that if you follow the plan, if you follow the structure, if you show up for yourself, every day for a 10-week period, and you do this session, you do that session, you do the other, that after the 10 weeks, it's almost near impossible that you won't be able to achieve your goals. And that first taste for me was like, oh, okay, there's something in this consistency thing. There's something in this structure thing. There's something in this routine thing. And then that just became habituated, just became normal. And,
mm,
again, from the outside, if somebody was to look at the week that I just had, training twice a day, waking up at 5:30, sleeping at 9:30, having the same meals, spending 20 minutes doing breath work, spending 15 minutes doing stretching, and I had to try and tag somebody along for that. After a week, they'd be in absolute pieces. But again, kind of what I touched upon, it's just about building slowly but surely, um, and understanding that there's going to be other things that are going to be at the wayside that you're going to have to understand, you're going to have to sacrifice, and that's okay. It's just about if you want to achieve some of the goals you want to achieve. Um, I think there's something to do with the city as well, the way in which it makes you kind of feel.
mm.
I don't think me being in Ireland would I be able to wake up at 5:30 every morning, especially in the depths of winter when it's cold and
Freezing, yeah.
freezing and raining outside. Like, I did a run last Christmas when I went home, and it was an 18-kilometer run, and how difficult it felt was insane. The amount of mental motivation that I had to use, that afterwards I was absolutely wrecked. The next weekend another 18-kilometer run, but I was in Dubai this weekend. I was at the beach. It was nice and bright and it was warm, and I could grab a little coffee afterwards, and then I went to the beach, and the outcome was the same. Same calories burned, same kilometers ran, same distance covered. How it felt was completely different. So I think what I drew from that was, okay, where else in my life am I making things more difficult than they need to be when I can get the same outcome? However, living in the city that we live in, it can be easy to get into a bit of a structure and routine. Um, but also, I think taken to the extreme, it can make you feel as though that you always need to be moving, always need to be running, always need to be racing and being productive.
Mm,
Or, God forbid, if you're not, then you're falling behind.
yeah.
Now, that's something that I struggle with. I struggle with taking time off. I struggle with, relaxing. I struggle with, taking an evening off. If I sat today, Saturday and Sunday, I've got mapped out in
Mm-hmm.
my notes of this is what I need to do this time, this time, this time, this time. And yeah, it's not 100% like healthy for some people. And let's say if I sat down on a Saturday or a Sunday and decided to sit in my apartment for the day, I would start getting extremely anxious and
Oh, really?
extremely, yeah, like my stomach would be not right. I wouldn't feel great. I would feel like I'm itching, that there should be something that I should be doing. Um, so I think, my body's not used to that, so to speak. And I think it reminds me of my mum because she never used to sit down.
Mm.
And I think a lot of who I am is as a result of her. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's my take on the whole structure and routine. I think taken to the extreme it can be unhealthy, and then that's definitely something that I struggle with. But it's an interesting one. It's not a bad problem to have.
Are you working on that though?
Working on being more spontaneous. Yeah, ideally I wish I could, but to be honest, so
Be-
I was. So like, let's say for the last 8 weeks when I was taking a bit of an off season, I definitely was working on it. I think I can strangle, hold such a grip so tightly around, bedtime routine and wake up routine, and, making sure that I get XYZ hours of sleep, and that, everything is accounted for and my ducks are in alignment. So I kind of eased off the gas over the last 8 weeks, but I think I've ramped it up again for the last 2 weeks. But working on it, not really. Conscious of it, yes.
would you mean that obviously you're not working on it, but you're conscious of it? Would that be something that in the future you would like to improve? Would you be like, because in the sense of like, I get it. It's nice to have, hats off, eh? I wouldn't be able to do what you're doing, and I'm being very honest. Um, but what would happen if you decide that, hey, you know what? It's Sunday. I'm just gonna chill, not gonna do anything. Do you feel like this is gonna ruin your whole mood? Obviously, just like you said, and you're gonna be anxious, or you're just going to maybe process what you're feeling? Because do you know why I'm saying this?
Oof.
Because the reason why I'm saying that, I had a friend of mine who brought that up to me a couple of weeks ago because I was constantly, all my weekends were busy. Like, I can't plan a weekend. Like, I know already what's going to happen next weekend because I kind of plan things ahead as well. Not as extreme as you, but I kind of know what's happening this weekend if I can't, if I can make it. And if I have a moment to squeeze in and someone messaged me like last minute, I'll go for it, you know? And she brought up something to me and she's like, do you feel like you're running away of something and you're keeping yourself busy so you don't think about what's actually happening inside? And for a moment, I was like, is that the case? Maybe I am. Maybe I am. So I kind of did that where I stayed home for the weekend and didn't do anything. It was relaxing. I rested. But I was very uncomfortable because I was sitting with lots of thoughts that I was not kind of enjoying. And I was like, oh, I should have just gone out, just like meet my friends, do this, do this. But it felt like I was also running away of certain things from deep within.
And were you?
Yeah, I was. And I had to do a bit of a reality check with myself and be like, whoa, what you doing, girl? Stop this right now. And I still think that sometimes I still do it.
Stop what right now? What do you mean?
Stop running away from reality, because that's what I'm doing. I keep myself busy and I'm running away of my own reality.
And how do you give time for your reality?
It's actually sitting down with myself, like kind of stopping the outside noise. As it can be as easy as just sitting on my couch, no TV, no phone, nothing. Just probably my journal, my pen, sit down and kind of write whatever I'm feeling right now. And that can be as easy as that. Then I might process everything. I might listen to a bit of music to let the ease of me writing things down. Then you come to this realization of like, oh, maybe I need to work on myself on that. And that's when then I reached out to Erica and I was like, I need a session. I really need a session
of hypnotherapy.
Yeah, because it's like a constant chase of something, but you're chasing it from outside because you're just like, okay, I'd rather focus on these goals or these things or get into something because I know these things I can control because I know the habit of it. For example, let's say if I wanted to learn running, Okay, and I wanted to like get a freaking pro and get to a marathon, not learn running.
Learn running.
You know what I mean. Like I wanted to get better at it. Oh, actually, do you know what? Let's say I wanted to learn
Learn
how to.
cycling.
Yes, that is
I knew
something.
you were going to say that because she doesn't know how to cycle.
Yes, I admit it. So imagine if I put myself in the position like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna learn how to cycle and I'm gonna allocate X time, X time, X time to do it, and I'm gonna just go into it. I control that. We're coming back to what we were talking at the beginning. Things I can control and things I can't control. I can control this time. I can control me going and actually learning how to cycle and keep doing that on a regular basis. But what I'm not allowing is the things that I can't control, which is what am I feeling? What am my brain thinking? What are the things that potentially I'm uncomfortable about it, but I'm not allowing it to process because I'm too busy chasing things that I can control. You know what I mean?
I know.
Do you feel that way?
Um, I think I think I could have, but I think just due to the fact that I'm aware of it, I tend to spend that time with myself. And I think a lot of it has to be in terms of, if I'm in the past or if I'm in the future, and where am I sitting in terms of the here and now? Am I present with what I'm doing? Am I busy just trying to get away from the present moment, or actually am I extremely present? And
Mm.
being present is something that I've tried to work on, and obviously it's hard to kind of always stay present, but for me it's about allowing that time to myself, that I decide that this is the me time, and I definitely do that, and not from a place of it being super productive. um I think also, people tend to define what their definition people tend to impose their definition of downtime or a holiday or a break on people, and just assume that that's what everybody needs.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we were younger, when we would be on holidays, my twin would be working or running, or when we went to Prague, he was bringing his laptop, he was spending 4 hours a day working. And my younger brother, who wouldn't be like him whatsoever, but like, would you not just take a break? Would you not just relax? Would you not just take the time off? And my twin would turn around and say, this is my definition of a holiday. If I didn't have the 2-3 hours of work, then I wouldn't feel rested. That this is important to me, that I enjoy, this. I don't treat this as work. I don't treat this as a
Mm.
negative. I don't treat this as like me lashing myself. That's important for him, even when he's on vacation, that he spends a few hours doing what he enjoys doing.
Mm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with other different people's definitions of spending time and what they enjoy doing. Because to tell me that I wouldn't be able to, work out for a week, or, go for a run for a week, or go for a cycle or a swim for a week, and telling me that's rest, it won't do anything, because after that week, I'll be more frustrated. I will be in a more
Correct.
negative mindset, a negative spiral. I won't be able to do the things that I enjoy just for the sake of somebody telling me that this is the holiday that I need.
Mm.
So, I've a bit of an issue with that, and I spend that time with myself. I definitely kind of went through periods of being not present, and for me, I think, as you touched upon, is spending that time with myself. So, any time in which that I feel like there's an important decision I need to make, or I'm not connected with myself, it's spending 20 minutes in the morning just unloading on a piece of paper just exactly how I'm feeling, not from an objective to find out the inner workings of my mind, or be a bit of a critic to myself and be like, why am I feeling like this? Why am
Mm.
I like this? Why are you like this? And being the judge, and inquiring to yourself from a place of, negativity and hostility, and not from a place of love. In the mornings, it's important for me to unload, and if I'm feeling like I'm not connected to myself, all I do is sit down, write for a page or two in terms of, how is my body feeling? Am I tired? What am I excited for during the day? Do I need to get this grocery, and do I need to go shopping here, or what's coming up? And that mental dump and that mental unload allows space for, after you get past a certain amount of mundane stuff, that your true feelings then start to come up. And that's, after a while of doing that for a few weeks, then I've made super important decisions, being like, Brian, what are you actually doing in this relationship? Do you actually want to be doing this? And the answer. Why are we avoiding this? So yeah, at moments and times when I'm not feeling connected with myself, but something that I've brought in recently is just spending more time with breath work. So if that means just doing a 20-minute session before work in the morning, that's my time for myself. And again, it's not falling into the productivity trap of I'm doing this to be productive. It's no, I'm just connecting with myself. I'm just allowing space because I'm allowing whatever emotions to come up, and not from a place of I need to fix this, or I need to improve, because the whole self-improvement kind of industry can be a bit of a tough one, because it's trying to find that balance or that line between self-improvement and self-acceptance, and not always just being inquiring. Because one of the things that people could struggle with being a small bit more self-aware would be all of these problems that I have and me having to fix them. And then when you run out of problems to solve, it's like, where else are these problems? I need to pull them from the depths. Because
I hear
sometimes
it.
it's okay not to have problems. Sometimes it's okay to not be suffering. And sometimes, it's okay that maybe you don't have to do a therapy session, because you know what? At this moment in time, there's nothing that negative. And you might tell me, yeah, but what about the unconscious stuff? What about, your mother wounding your childhood trauma or whatever? It's just like, yeah, and we will get there slowly but surely. But right now, it's just okay with being present and not being too caught up in it. Because yeah, I think that's my issue sometimes with the self-help space and the
I hear it.
men's work or whatever. It's like constantly trying to look for problems when there's no more problems to find.
I hear it, and I love that. And I think a big chunk of what I'm getting from obviously all we've discussed is you're very self-aware about mental health. I think this is something that you've been also, I mean, I know that you've been very aware, obviously being self-aware, doing your breath work and all of that. You're very aware of obviously what's going on in terms of like mental health in general, because it is something that people need to take into consideration, even for someone like you who has a lot of responsibility, has a lot of goals, wants to achieve a lot of things. Mental health, it should be, I would say, dominant in your life, right? Or
Yeah,
not really.
no, 100%. But I wouldn't. I don't know if I would call it mental health. I think it would just be kind of in tune with who you are, and in tune with your emotions and
Yeah,
feelings.
I hear it.
Because when you think of mental health, I think stigma and your association in your brain would be mental disorders, this,
Oh,
that,
yeah.
anxiety,
Yeah.
depression. Um, so yeah, kind of staying in tune with myself and in terms of what I'm feeling, and being emotionally regulated is important, because in an industry that is driven by ups and downs, and in a city that is always racing and moving forward, you can easily fall into a place of a pit of maybe going to the wrong maybe going the wrong direction, or not a good relationship with yourself, or being isolated, or anything like that. So it's important for me, in terms of being in tune with myself and being aware of different things. I think it's just come from the fact of growing up in a family in which that my dad was diagnosed with bipolar, and I found out what bipolar was when I was 6. Like, that was, I think, from an early age, it was like becoming a bit more conscious about, okay, what's going on in our heads. Okay, this person can have a mental disorder, and what does that mean? And okay, we had to look out for his, if he was showing elated behavior, if he was showing like that he's going into a manic phase, or maybe he's going into a depressive phase. And people around somebody with bipolar have to be spotters, so they're the first people that can spot somebody's emotion. And that's when potentially this person might have to seek intervention, or go into hospital or whatever. So from a young age, it's kind of like that was always something that I was surrounded by, and then kind of led me to be a bit more curious about myself, and then going down the psychology route, and then just kind of falling into finding out who I was, and finding out what makes people tick, and potentially will draw me into sales as well. So I think it's just something that's always been present in my life, and always will be for
Yeah.
years to come. And I think that's the most authentic version of myself, and kind of getting closer to that is so important.
I love that. I enjoy that a lot. And before we end, we have to talk about the phenomenal thing that is happening with your run club. Like what? Like
Yeah.
I was just like, I was shocked one day when I was just like, hold on a minute. He started that with Liam. Then there was another guy that joined. I remember. I don't even know who he was. And then there was probably maybe two other guys. There was like three, four, and you just showed up every Saturday, and your goal was to run and have a chat and grab a coffee. That was it. Have a good time, and just have those authentic connection with people. And slowly but surely, how long the playbook's been?
The Run Club,
Yeah.
a year and like 4 months, 5 months maybe.
And now there's almost like 50 to how much? What was the maximum you've got?
50, 55, yeah,
Yeah,
before summer.
50, 55 people showing up. Bear in mind, guys, it's summer in Dubai. It's boiling hot, and I still see your group of people. Just every picture, group pictures, every Saturday, it's just a big bunch of people that comes and shows up. And I like it because they don't just come for a run or for the coffee or for XYZ. They come because they just want to have a good time,
Mm.
and that buzzing feeling of like, oh my God, I just had an amazing time. I met the people that I mainly regulars. I've been hearing that because obviously you now started doing the midweek reset every other Wednesday as well, which is crazy.
That you've been part of.
Exactly. I've been enjoying that very much. It's been really nice. And hearing people, oh, see you Saturday, looking forward. Why were you not here on Saturday? You know, it's like creating those connection that in a place like Dubai, like we said, yes, Dubai is beautiful. It gives opportunities for a lot of things, but very quickly you can feel lonely because a lot
Mm.
of us leave our families, our friends, our everyone around us, and come here to settle down and make something happen for us. And you can feel very lonely. You can feel like nobody understands you. But what you were able to create is that you don't have to be a runner. You don't have to, I don't know, look for anything. Just come and have a fun. Let's have a chat. Let's go for a run, get buzzing. Let's go have a coffee, and then let's chill, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that? Obviously, it's your I see it, it's like it's your baby.
Yeah, and I think that's so perfect in terms of it is kind of my baby, and it's something that, yeah, like will always have a special place in my heart. Um, yeah, so I think the last time we came on, we were talking about, the reason as to why we set it up, and around the fact of doing it for the sake of doing it, not for what we were getting out of it.
Mm,
And that thread of the reason as to why we started it has always been true until this point, and it continues to be that way. Is you can tend to see run clubs are set up around a product, around a brand. It smells like a business. It could be a funnel into one-to-one running coaching, or it could be around a shoe, or it could be, a business idea that somebody's had. And for me, it's not that deep. It's like, why are we kind of always running towards being a business owner or setting up a business or trying to, turn people into profit? And don't get me wrong, I think there's a future in where that becomes something that ultimately could benefit financially, but I think it's all important in terms of the foundations and the building blocks, and given without any expectation of receiving, and just giving and giving and giving. And it's gone from a point of it's now its own thing. It's like, a baby at the start, it was an infant. You couldn't, fend for itself. It needed to be fed. It needed me and Liam supervising it and just, changing its diaper. But now it's gotten to a stage where, I can go for 2 weeks and it'll still continue on as if I'm not there.
yeah.
That nobody understands, who runs it or who's the person who set it up, so to speak. It runs itself. And it's so powerful to me if I see a story of two people going, out for dinner, or people going on vacation together, or, people going on a trip, or, people saying that if it wasn't for this, then they genuinely don't think they would still be in the city. That after going to the run club, it's changed their life in terms of their relationship with their partner, being able to go for a run, being able to connect with other people. It changed their perspective of the city. And that, no money can pay for that feeling. No money can pay for somebody to say that to you, because for me, that's what it's all about. And, being able to see people's perceptions of this city change merely by just being part of a community and going for a run on a Saturday morning is fills my cup. And that's that's what brings me peace, because at least I've got that. Maybe real estate, I'm not going to be in real estate for 10 years. Maybe it's not my true calling, it's not my most authentic self. But this little space, this is what fills my cup, and this is what I genuinely enjoy, and I can be the most authentic version of myself. And it's so powerful to me to see that grow, because when we came on here that time, it would have been about 10-15 people, and
Correct.
still I never really got hung up in terms of how many people were there. So last summer, when there was 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, then it didn't really change my perception of it being a failure or success, because I was never orientated in terms of the outcome. So now when there's 40 or 50, it's just like, it's the same feeling, but it's just more stories of people saying like how much of a benefit it's been for them, and just authentic people. And the beauty about a run club and a community is it's self-selection. So the people who feel most aligned with the other people there, they tend to come back. And when you've got a core group of regulars that are just amazing people, then the people who tend to come back are most similar. So you start getting this massive group of authentic, amazing people. And yeah, I think everybody at their core, as we touched upon, is, like a good person. And in a city that can be so status and material driven, it's nice to have a safe space that you're not sold to, that it's not a transactional relationship, that I want to understand who you are, not what you are, not what you do for work, not how much you earn, not what you drive, but who is Lamia? Who is she on a deep level? And we can have a laugh, and nothing too deep really. Like it's not, transactional. It's just getting to understand you on a human level. And that's what it's all about. So it's been absolutely amazing to see.
And I love that. Honestly, obviously, because of my little injury, I couldn't come.
There's a walk club.
There's a walk club now. Really? Wow. Then here, I'll be coming back for the walk then. But it's just beautiful. I love it because obviously I've seen it at the beginning, and I've seen, like, I keep seeing it. Obviously, even though I'm not there physically, I'm there. I'm regularly every morning. I like to check the group and see, and just seeing the smiles on the face, and like everyone just buzzing. It's just so beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and I'm looking forward to see what's next, because I know there's a lot coming.
Yeah, I know. And like the sky's the limit with it, because for every single week I've been there now for over 80, 90, nearly 100 runs or whatever. It's like once a week, every week. Like, I will continue to show up, and I know other people will continue to show up, and we're not going to go anywhere, and we're still new, and we're already getting traction in terms of being mentioned on this page or being mentioned on that page. And it's just, so hilarious to me, because somebody could come down to the run and be like, who does the marketing on the page? I'm like, do you mean who puts up the photo with the filter and the caption? Yeah, that's me. It's like, it's becoming a thing, and just as a byproduct of being consistent, and just as a byproduct of just doing it. And it was set up it was set up because I found it difficult to meet people here. I found it difficult to connect with people here. I felt, it was hard to connect with somebody without them feeling like I was being sold to. And there's a quote: "The space in which I will belong won't exist until I create it." And that spoke to me, because sometimes you have to take initiative in life, and sometimes you have to create this space, and sometimes when you've got a problem, you have to make the solution. And as a result, if it's a solution for you, it's going to be a solution for other people. And at that time there wasn't a whole lot of run clubs, and that it was set up to meet some people, and sometimes you have to take that initiative and create something and not get preoccupied in the outcome, but just be consistent and show up for yourself and other people on a weekly, daily basis, whatever it might look like. So for me, that's so important, and for me, I'm really excited for what's to come with it.
I love that. Well, Brian, we're coming to the end of this episode. It's been lovely. But before you go, I'm not going to just let you go like that. You're crazy.
You're going to sting me with a question?
No, a little bit. So I have a couple of what ifs, because it's a new version. Oh yeah, I've upgraded. Now we have what ifs. And then afterwards...
No rapid fire anymore.
And then, no, we do have rapid fire right after.
Oh, both?
Both. Two. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What if you had stayed in the same role and never leveled up professionally? How would your life look like today?
I would be a quote-unquote successful real estate broker who's closing deals and making money, and always wondering, if real estate is for him, and not in touch with his authentic self. I'd be wearing a mask and being the person that other people want me to be, and not being authentically myself.
Love that. What if showing up every day stopped being a choice and became an expectation? How do you stay motivated?
Motivation doesn't become a factor.
Okay, I hear it.
But motivation isn't a factor now at the moment.
It's just about showing up.
Yeah, because it's just life now. It's just habituated.
What I'm trying to get is, I think maybe my question was wrong. Sorry, guys, I'm a French speaker. But
don't apologize.
But what I'm trying to say is, for example, when there are days that you have to show up and you don't want to show up.
No.
How do you motivate yourself? Nah, doesn't happen.
No, genuinely.
Okay.
There's no morning where I get up and I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Okay. All right. I love that.
And that's just me being honest.
I love that. No, I take it. It's personal, so I'll take it. Personal to you. What if you never push yourself to do an Ironman or triathlon? Would you half Ironman?
Thank you.
Precising. Would you have discovered the same lessons about resilience?
I think I would have taken on something else. I think I would have decided to do something else that would have, challenged me physically. I think I would have still learned the same lessons, but I would have just got there by doing something else.
Okay. What if leveling up stopped being about doing more and started being about being better every single day? What would that look like for you?
Repeat it again.
What if leveling up stopped being about doing more and started being better every day, like doing 1% better every day? That's leveling up. Because sometimes people think that leveling up, you have to do a lot of things. But what if leveling up was about doing what you do 1% better?
I don't really understand.
So, for example, if I talk about leveling up, subtly, I don't really understand your question. So, for example, if I talk about leveling up, I want to up my game and whatsoever, a lot of people will take on board that, I got to do X, Y, Z, that, and I need to do more, and I need to da, da, da. But what if the reality is about just doing what you do, but doing it better? Like when Stephen Bartlett talk about it, that 1% better. Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you? Do you agree on that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that becomes mastery. I think that's by perfecting it, perfecting the art and staying in your lane and not opportunity hopping and going to a different thing or taking on more responsibility. It's about niching down and becoming even more kind of more proficient at one specific thing.
Okay, I'll take that. Now we're going to switch to rapid fire question.
Thank God.
Why? I'm getting better at it. Just give me time.
No, it's not that you're bad. It's just I don't understand the question.
It's okay. All right, so we're ready for rapid fire question. What if you could master one skill instantly? What would it be and why?
What if you could
Master?
one skill?
Yeah.
What would it be and why?
Instantly.
See, I remember these rapid fire questions the last time,
And?
and every time you asked me, I was deep in it, and this is what I'm doing again. And
Don't deep it.
Liam was just rapid with it, and
Yeah.
I was just deep in it.
Rapid.
I don't know, learning all of the language in the world so I can travel and speak to whoever I want to.
If that's the case, huh? If that's the case. What's one belief you've had to unlearn to level up?
Ooh, one belief I've had to unlearn.
Unlearn.
I think it's operating out of fear, and it's operating out of loss and out of fear of failure, rather than kind of moving towards coming from a place of security. So I think the belief would have been that I'm not enough, that I need to do more in order to be accepted or to be perfect.
Okay. I'll take that. Thank you very much. What's the hardest truth you had to accept about yourself?
Fuck. The hardest truth I've had to accept about myself. I think as a people pleaser, you tend to expect that everybody will like you, that you want everybody to like you.
Correct.
And accepting the fact that some people just will not like you, some people actually will extremely dislike you. But I'd rather be disliked for being my authentic self than accepted for the mask that I wear.
Perfect. I love that. One last heavy one, and then we'll go into an easier version. If success had one definition, what would yours be today?
One definition, success. I think success would be peace of mind and living with and being my authentic self.
All right. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
Oh God.
God, see how rapid that was?
If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
My life had a theme song. I don't know.
Okay, next. If you were a superhero, what would be your quirky superpower?
Deep in every single scenario and reading people's minds.
What's the most unusual item on your bucket list?
I don't have a bucket list.
Wow, okay. If animals could talk, which one would be the
Dog.
rudest?
Oh,
Rudest.
Cats. They have awful personalities. Despise them.
All right, and the last one. When have you felt the most in your element in life?
Genuine conversations with friends, with people that I love.
I'll take that. Well, Bran, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It was lovely. Enjoyed that conversation. I hope to see you back here again soon.
I will. Surely I'll see you on Monday.
Yes, but I mean on the podcast.
Sure. Thank you, Lania.
Thank you again, Brian. And thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.